Greg Lake back again from last week as well, and we have Muppet Masher, who's had an interesting exchange just a few days ago on X Spaces with Blake Neff. I don't know how much of my audience knows about this case, but Blake Neff is one of the more visible officials with Turning Point USA, and Candace Owens talks about him all the time today. So it was an interesting exchange, and I think he may be able to play that for us. So, anyway, welcome to all you guys. Great to have you here, Muppet Masher. Since you're in an ungodly hour there in Australia, I'll give you a chance. So if you want to do what you want to do, and then you can go get some sleep if you want. But first of all, thanks for coming on.
No, thank you for having me on. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah. So tell us about this. I assume you must have been deeply involved in this if you went on the Spaces and you got Blake Neff's attention. And this, I'm sure, was a lot of people on there. So I know, having done Spaces, I know it's not easy to do sometimes. So he got his attention. He's probably sorry that he got your attention. Talk about what happened there.
Yeah, sure. It was Louisiana's space on X, and I'm friends with Louisiana, so the Spaces just popped up when she started, and it took me a little while to get in there. And Gary Melton was in there to start with, having a bit of a back and forth, and then Blake Neff showed up. So I've been working on this Charlie Kirk case for 10 months. I've done over 5,000 hours of research into this. So I've got a pretty good background knowledge of what happened on the day. But there were some timeline gaps that I was trying to fill. And when I saw Blake come on there, I thought, it's a golden opportunity to fill in some blanks in the timeline. So, I just kind of pushed in and asked him the first question of where he went that morning after he got off Charlie's plane, and he was cagey from the start. So I kind of sensed there might be a can of worms here to open up, so I just kept pushing him a little bit, and it turned into a bit of a circus.
Muppet, do you have the clip by chance? Can you play that?
I do.
Go ahead,
Give me
Don,
a second.
while he's looking for that, if you had a follow-up.
That would be great. Yep. So I was under the impression it was Blake Neff's Spaces, so he just showed up on somebody else's Spaces.
He did, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Louisiana has a pretty big following on X, and I think she's had Gary on there a couple of times before, and I think Blake showed up because Gary Melton was in there. And I think he thought he had a bit of a shield and a bit of support in there. So I have no idea why he actually got on there, but he wasn't prepared.
Well, yeah, from what I heard. So I don't know if you know how to, you go down the bottom and share, you can share the, if you haven't, Steve, will he be able to do it? It doesn't have to be a URL. If it's an audio file, how does he share that? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. It should, you don't have the clip on, like, posted up on
no, it's pinned to my X post, if you can pull that up easy.
Okay. Okay.
Let's take a look here.
I did clip out the actual questions that I asked Blake and just put it into a little video, but it is pinned to my profile.
How long ago did you? Oh, it's pinned. It's at the top. Oh, yeah. Okay. Here it is here. Let's see. Let me see if I can. Hey, there's John Bray. John, can you hear us?
Yeah, I got you.
Thanks for coming on, John. John, I appreciate it. For joining the discussion. Honored to have you so
much. Thank you. Good to see you, John. And I sent you a text via X. Sorry for the delay, but we're kind of running by the seat of our pants here.
Yeah, we had a problem with the link. Sorry.
You send me a DM on X. It may be 3 days, so I get
it. you don't get some riffraff hitting you up on XD, John.
No, everybody's pretty cool. I guess from what I perceive, they may be riffraff, but I don't see it that way.
That's good.
Okay. So this is very interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess this is a share. I guess this is it. Are you seeing it, Don? Steve Cameron share.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, let me put it there. Okay, there we go.
Okay. So I guess this is the clip. I'll try to play the audio. Let me turn it up for a second. 1 second.
I just have some detailed questions if I can ask Blake.
Here it is.
That's all
To
right.
be with Erica.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy. Who did you fly in with, Blake?
I flew in with Charlie.
With Charlie on Charlie's plane. So at the Salt Lake City interview at Savory Fun, how many security guards did he have with him there?
I don't know.
You couldn't remember? You can't count them up?
I mean, it was a number greater than 1, and I don't know the exact number of people he had at any particular.
Well, just think back. You were there. So
Well, okay.
how many security would he have had?
Charlie, the amount of security Charlie would have. I mean, you would have Dan, you would have Brian Harpole, and among other things. Yeah, I just don't remember. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head the exact number.
Yeah, well, hey, he didn't have Brian Harpole with him because Brian was already at UVU.
Oh, wait, hold on. Isn't that what you said in Utah?
At the Savory Fund interview with Andrew Smith before he went to UVU.
And prior, I wasn't at that event. I was in the other SUV.
So where were you in between time? When you got off the plane, where did you go?
I was in the other SUV.
Did you go straight to? Did you go straight to UVU?
We had 2 SUVs. I was in the one Charlie wasn't in, and I was somewhere. I actually have no idea where they parked it.
What do you mean you don't know where you were?
I'd never been to Utah before.
So you got off the plane with Charlie, you jumped in the other SUV. Where did you go?
We went somewhere. Why would I?
You went somewhere.
Why would I remember that? Like, can you consider for just one moment that I did not know that Charlie was going to.
Did you go straight to the UVU event?
Around the Orem, Utah area. We went.
Hang on. Surely you can remember what you did that morning.
I'm a key witness to Charlie's life. I'm not a particularly important witness to the murder.
So you got off the plane, you got in the SUV. Where did you go? Hang on, let me finish the question. Where did you go?
What do you mean, where did I go?
You got off the plane, you got in the SUV.
Did you go to a restaurant? Did you go to a strip club? Where did you go?
We drove somewhere, and because I wasn't going to that event, we just parked and we marked time until the actual Utah Valley event. And then you realize
you're making yourself look really bad right now by not answering that question. But just go ahead, continue.
Why is that making me look really bad? Like what? Do you want to check?
So when did you meet up? Hang on. Let me finish it. Let me finish. So when did you meet up with Charlie to follow him to UVU?
I don't believe I ever did meet up with Charlie. I think he went to that event.
You followed him in. You followed him into UVU.
But in the event, I believe we drove there, and I was not directly outside that event. So the memory I have is us driving to the event, and then I was talking on the phone with.
You were in the SUV right behind Charlie, so you must have met up with him to travel there together.
When did you start?
Okay, I'm going to pause this. Everybody can hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, Muppet, how much longer does it go? You want me to keep playing through this, or do you want to comment on what he said so far, and then we'll keep playing?
That's brilliant. Gold there.
Yeah, well, this was the part where I have a feeling that he was in a location that he shouldn't have been. And yeah, I was just trying to get it out of him because we know that he followed Charlie into UVU. He was in the SUV right behind him as they came through the car park. So they must have met up somewhere. And there's about 2-hour gap there that we can't work out exactly where Blake went. So
for everyone that just joined in, Muppet, can you just explain who Blake Neff is again for people that missed it?
Yeah, Blake Neff is the producer of the Charlie Kirk show. He actually doesn't work for TPUSA, and he's not normally at campus stops with Charlie. So it's very unusual for him to be there as well. Which is another thing that he pushed on, that he was trying to help Charlie prepare the questions that the Mormons were likely to ask him. But that's not Blake's job either. So
do you want me to continue? I'll continue it now, or do you have any questions?
Yeah, there's only a couple. I think it only goes for about 4.5 minutes.
Before we play the rest of it, does anyone else have any comments about what we've heard so far?
Great stuff.
Yeah, no, I just want to say thank you from coming from down under and holding these assholes accountable. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, Don, anything?
No,
So we keep
I
playing
just
it?
I want to hear the rest.
Okay, here we go.
Start following Charlie in your ride.
I don't
Yeah.
again, you ask these like these are incredibly important questions, and the truth
They
is
are.
They are
they-
very important questions
The
for
reason-
details of the
that's why you are
timeline
not
of events
answering
for that
it is
morning.
because it is an incredibly important question. That's
No, it's
why
not.
you're not
none
answering
of
it.
you have presented a single reason why this would be important.
I
And
can tell you
Because
exactly
it fills
where
in
I
the
was.
timeline of events.
This is in his private
Who
radar.
was in your car? Questions that Mormons are going to
turning-
ask. Yeah,
we
we
don't
get that.
lie.
That's fine.
Well,
Who
and not only
else
don't
was in
lie,
your
I mean,
car?
without
Do you
even
have a
getting
security
into it,
guy with
but,
you?
Like, if
I
you run a
don't
huge
remember.
Can I ask one really specific question, Blake? There's I have a text exchange between Phil Lyman and a couple of other people, and he specifically states in that Tyler Boyer threatened him back in December, and he mentions you in the text exchange. Apparently, you
I've seen
contacted
text
him after that.
forgotten about it, so I don't know off the top of my head what you're referring to.
Did you?
Hang on, can I just clarify?
Go ahead.
It was when Phil Lyman was in DC. Sarah Rogers is involved, and it specifically states that Tyler Boyer contacted Phil Lyman in December and threatened him. And then a day or two later, you joined into that same conversation, and there's no context. We don't know what the threat is. We don't know what the context of the conversation is. Can you clear that up?
I don't have any real memory of this, and I'd probably have
It'll be in your phone. You had text messages with Phil Lyman or phone calls with Phil Lyman. It'll be in your phone.
Maybe you can come back to it, Blake. Do you remember?
I don't.
Okay, I'm going to pause there for a second. Muppet, can you tell everybody that's listening here who Phil Lyman is and what you're referencing?
Yeah, sure. Phil Lyman was running for for Congress actually in Utah. Just after Charlie's incident is when he actually launched his campaign for the congressional race, and luckily he lost. But Phil Lyman was there on the day. He had a meet and greet with Charlie beforehand and had some photos taken. And there's a lot of people that are associated with Phil from the day. A lot of the eyewitnesses that claim that Charlie was shot in the chest, they're all very closely associated with Phil Lyman. George Zinn, the decoy, he's very closely associated with Phil. And there's quite a few people that played a key role on the day that were all associated with Phil Lyman. So I was very accusative at the start and thought Phil played some kind of role in this. And I ended up reaching out to Phil Lyman, and we had some phone call conversations. And then it was, I had a bit of a falling out because I found out Phil had lied to me, and I have a big issue with liars.
Wasn't the issue that he originally said the story was that his family member, I guess it was his aunt or cousin or somebody that lived across the street, had sent the ring cam footage to TMZ, and that
Yes.
But then he came back and said that the police took his footage, that person's footage, his Phil Lyman's relative, and
Yes.
told Phil to send it to TMZ. But he said that the footage was returned like a day or two after, and that the police told him to send the footage to TMZ. Which is that what the lie you're talking about? Because that footage was sent to TMZ the day of, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was. The police came and collected the SD cards out of the camera, and they actually downloaded from another camera next door because they didn't have a SD card in it. And that footage was shown on TMZ, and then they apparently returned a day or two later and advised them to sell their footage to TMZ. And there was a bit of a discrepancy in his timeline and what he claims that he saw. Like, for example, he claims that he witnessed them carry Charlie out to the SUV. But you can clearly see on his video, by the time he comes out of the Sorensen building, that Charlie's already been carried out.
Right. And
So
he also, his story is also that after he did his photo ops near the tent, there was a point where he said he wanted to go meet somebody. And then that's what led him up to the second floor of the Sorensen Center on the balcony. And then he walked in the breezeway doorway. And then he heard the shot, and then he immediately turned around a couple of seconds later, turned on his phone and started filming. But that doesn't make sense, because if you time out other video, and I believe it was Adam, Life is Driving, his video. So if you sync his video up with Phil Lyman's video, Phil Lyman couldn't have started filming until about 20 seconds after the shot. I mean, 20 seconds doesn't sound like a lot, but if you stand here and count, 1 to 20, it definitely differs from what he originally said. He said he started.
And there's only about 16 seconds before they carry Charlie away, so after the Big Bang. So by the time Phil gets back out on the veranda, he did not see them carry Charlie out.
And he also said that he heard the shot. He said, didn't he say he went on a show before anybody, I think, found the rifle? He said it sounded like a 30-06.
Yeah.
He was the first person to say it sounded like a 30-06.
Sorry, Greg, go ahead.
Yeah, and I'd like to add too, Barron found some clips where, he was coaching a lot of the younger college-looking kids who were speaking with the media. He was coaching them to say, Charlie Kirk was shot. So he obviously was making a concerted effort, both himself and through other people, to put that shot narrative into the public sphere just ASAP.
I think I know what you're talking about, Greg. Are you talking about the young guy that was being interviewed, and then the camera girl goes 3, 2, 1?
His name Jacoby or something?
Jacoby.
I saw Charlie Kirk get shot. That guy.
And he was lipping it as he was saying,
Phil was lipping it. Yeah, he was. Yeah. Like he had.
And if you actually see the start of that video, they actually prompt him. He asks, "Are you recording?" And they go, "Yep, okay, go." And then he starts. I saw Charlie get shot.
Is that the end of the Blake Neff exchange? Because we got Adam now from the One Podcast, and I want to just make sure we can get around to everybody. Or is there any more to that audio?
Yeah, well, with that actual text message, I'm still trying to drill down on that. That screenshot was shared to me from somebody else. It wasn't my conversation. But reading through that screenshot, I really would like to know why Tyler Boyd is threatening Phil Lyman in December. Is he threatening to stay silent? I'm not sure. So.
Yeah, very interesting stuff. Well, we got, I don't know, should we take that off, I guess? No, it is off. Okay. I want to make sure we talk to John Bray. Thanks for coming on. And I understand you're the people associate the exploding mic theory with Candace Owens, but I understand you're the one that first came up with it. So talk about how you came and became interested in this case and your research on it.
Basically, my first kind of run in with the event was just scrolling through my phone a video on X. I believe it was the 13 MP4, which is like the front view, but a little bit further away. And it just looked fake to me. Like, my immediate reaction was like, oh, this is just, people that hate Charlie Kirk making some AI slop. So immediately I go and look for news articles, and then I see that, Charlie Kirk's shot. But then the very next thing my brain jumps to is that, he was obviously shot in the chest, and I thought he had like soft body armor on. And because I was trying to explain the shirt movement, like the very obvious thing is like, why does one shirt jump up, up around your face? Like, it was a very strange movement of the shirt, especially the shirt collar. So I have a background in body armor, so ballistic testing with body armor. So I understand like how it moves, how it kind of reacts to impact. So I started to make a Python script that could give me an indication of where he was shot at, because through the deformation of the of the soft armor, the layers, it's like a catcher's mitt. You know, the deepest point of deformation shows you where the impact was. So I thought I would be able to get an idea of where he was shot at, and try to explain, like, it had to be an edge shot, right? For the neck wound obviously wasn't a direct bullet impact. I knew that from the first time seeing it. Like, that wasn't a rifle impact directly to the neck. I thought it was a deflection. So my goal in making the first script that I ran was to figure out how close to the edge the bullet struck the soft armor, and to try to explain why the bullet kind of was deflected and struck his neck. But it didn't take me very long to realize that obviously he didn't have any armor on that day. The only thing that was underneath his shirt when he was sitting there was his cross pendant necklace and microphone. But I went ahead and ran the script that I made for the soft armor, and it kept flagging the peak deformation, kind of the epicenter of the event underneath the microphone, around that right collarbone, which made no sense to me, right? It's the opposite side of his body. And then I really went and slowed the video down, and you could see the kind of trajectory of the microphone clasp. It kind of crosses his center line, which made no sense to me either, right? Why is his left collar raising up around his face? And why is the magnetic clasp underneath his right collarbone crossing his center line, kind of towards the same trajectory where we see the neck wound? So that immediately, you know, it wasn't even a year before that we had the Lebanese pager attack. So immediately in my mind right away, I was like, all right, this could be a modified electronic device, right? That we're witnessing, that you know, that were the rifle shot obviously didn't impact him anywhere, because we didn't see any ballistic evidence of a rifle impact where Charlie was. Though we heard a rifle shot, but outside of that, like, there's no evidence that Charlie was struck by a rifle. So I just had to piece together from the few video angles that we had to try to kind of reconcile the data that was clear, right? The shirt balloons, the magnetic clasp moves across his chest in a trajectory that's similar to where the neck wound appears, and his shirt collar raises up around his left side of his face. And we get a neck wound that has delayed bleeding. It's a kind of a rectangular shape, and it appears to be like a medium velocity impact, more like a impact you would expect from like a shrapnel, a secondary event from an explosion. So taking all that data together and having a real world example of less than a year ago that, you know, electronic devices were modified and detonated remotely, my mind immediately went that the microphone had to have something to do with it. And that kind of started it all.
Has Candace credited you at all, or have you talked to Candace?
Yeah. I've my first interaction with Candace is when she showed the SUV pictures, but it was when she was very candid about showing them. She was saying they were too glory, and I asked her if there was black glass or plastic fragments in the floorboard, and she immediately, you know, said yes, and she shared those images. And so that's kind of started our going back and forth. And she's mentioned my name several times. She
Good.
Sean Ryan's show, she specifically said my name, and then she's mentioned me several times on her show. She's given me all credit for it. You know,
That's
but
good to hear.
and her style, she's kind of like a it's like a narrative that she builds. It's kind of, she slow rolls her crowds into the final kind of outcome of what she's working to. And so, you know, you may see 4 episodes of her talking about it, but when she originally kind of introduced the idea, she definitely credits me.
Well, that's good to hear, because that doesn't always happen. I can tell you from my in my work in the JFK assassination research and 9/11, all that stuff. Typically, the bigger names don't always, you know, admit to where they got some of the evidence from. So we're going to go back. We got a lot of Adam, the Real One podcast. Welcome to the show. Tell us about, you know, how long you've been working on this, and I assume this is your specialty too.
So I guess I guess I got started just right after all this happened. You know, I'd always thought about doing this for years, wondered what I would, what kind of topic, subject, what kind of material. And then, after what happened to Charlie, I was watching a lot of different creators, and I thought, you know what, I guess now is just as good a time as any. I really like all that long form stuff, you know, your Baron Coleman's and the 2 and 3 hour podcast, but a lot of people don't have time for all that. So I try to kind of condense that, pick all the little, condense it down for those that can't sit through a 3-hour podcast. So.
Well, that's great.
Well,
It's great to
I've
have you
been
here.
at it.
Greg Lake, I didn't want to leave you out. You were here last time, so I wanted to get the people that weren't here before. So great to have you back on. I don't know if we asked you last time about how you're an attorney, how you got started down this path of Tyler Robinson, Charlie Kirk.
Man, I had been checked out of politics for about 20 years and kind of doing my own thing. And when I first saw this event go down, when I heard that they were alleging a 30-06 to the neck, being from Northeast Texas and a deer hunter, like automatically thought something's not right there. And then they had this immediate political posturing on leftist furry agenda, right? That didn't strike me, no. And then I learned that the Hunter Kozak was asking him some trans violence question at the time of the incident. It all didn't sit right with me. And then once enough evidence came out to suggest that this was not as it seems, I made a commitment to start a podcast to share with the public my journey to the truth and try to offer my perspective as a lawyer through the court case, in furtherance of those endeavors. So that's kind of how I got here. Thanks for asking, Don. Hope you're doing well.
No, it's great to have you. I wanted to ask you, I'll just throw this around. I was watching last night, Patriotic Housewife. I mean, there's so many people that are covering this. I know. She can't, I don't know if you guys are familiar, but I was fascinated. The more, I don't know if you saw about the Turning Point USA and the Libertarian, I forget the name of the Libertarian, but it's associated with Turning Point USA, that they were giving these parties with a lot of underage girls there and letting them drink, and they had strippers on stage. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I heard about that.
What are your thoughts on that? I mean, that was a little. Matt Gaetz was supposedly there, which, given the allegation, which I defended him from a long time ago, but it was odd that he was there. And
I've always looked at that stuff. Now, obviously, underage and contributing and all that, that's a different thing. But as far as just partying in general, if you want to do that, that's fine. Just let everybody know you party. Don't be hypocritical about it and act like we're better than you because we don't.
It doesn't fit with their public agenda.
There's a guy, Matt Tucciaroni, who used to work for TPUSA in Arizona, who's made the podcast rounds a few times, and he's openly homosexual. Really nice guy, as a matter of fact. But he says that. There's a lot of underground, homosexuality going on within TPUSA. And I think that a lot of it has to do with compromising people in their own organization, meaning that they bring these people in, get them involved in like under the table homosexual or other devious acts, and then use that as kind of, and this all allegedly, as kind of like a method to control people within the organization. It's all, if it's true, it's a very sick system that they have going over there.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, I just, again, it's because it doesn't, Blake Neffs, we were talking about him earlier, wasn't he fired for somewhere for
for being terrible and racist. Yeah.
Tucker fired him.
Tucker fired him. That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
He also worked for the Stu Peters show and he got fired from there as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So it's incredible. So how do we, Greg, especially since you're a defense attorney?
Yeah.
Now I guess we have a break until September when they come back, but How did you think the defense did during the preliminary hearing? Because again, we talked about the one time definitely where they should have jumped up and cross-examined on the timestamp and the Discord chat and all that. Do you think that they will break tradition with all the other trials like this we've had, going back to the Lindbergh baby trial, where they get this kind of representation where they're not even as good as a public defender? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So, and I've tried to withhold a firm judgment on that as long as I can. But, I had a colleague of mine, Charles Carey, on a live stream on my channel a few days ago, and he's very experienced. He's been a state prosecutor and he's been a federal public defender before. And so, I got his take on it, and he's at a loss too to understand how they could have, their performance is unexplainable in terms of they're actually trying to do their job. So like now people are wondering, well, are they actually in on this operation doing that bad? And to what degree? So yeah, no, I do not think that they are. I think they're keeping with tradition. Yeah.
Any of you other guys, or any of the other guys here, an attorney?
No,
just-
not me.
Just looking at somebody mentioned riffraff as one of the common riffraff. I'm looking at it, and but this is the way it always happens. Again, it goes back to, if you read what Hauptmann's trial for the Lindbergh baby kidnapping. He didn't get a defense, and all the way through. The surviving brother, the Sarnev brother, whatever, in the Boston bombing trial, and the Batman Aurora killing, and Jared Lee Loughner, the Gabby Giffords. I mean, all the ones where they survive, which isn't all that often. It turns out that they don't get any kind of representation, and there's never. Do we know? Did Tyler Robinson? Because we hear all kinds of things. He confessed 1 million times, and one side says, but. Did he plead not guilty, or is he?
Yeah.
Did he plead?
Yeah, he pled not guilty.
Yeah, he pled not guilty. So what we found
That's
out
good.
later, what we found later is that, he did not, in fact, confess to his parents. He's definitely not confessed to law enforcement officials. And let me say this, I think, the thing is that the attorneys that Tyler Robinson has are otherwise qualified and competent. I mean, I can see that in their, where they are doing good stuff, right? And so there has to be some force, in my opinion, behind the scenes that are either telling them to do this or some suggestion to not go full force, because there's no other way to explain why they're getting inadequate representation, at least in this case, I feel.
I mean,
Greg,
Greg, though, go ahead.
Oh, hey, first, Adam. Hey, man, good to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
Kind of in person. Thanks a lot for getting this together. I want to give a shout out to Brett Booth too, for getting all this together as well.
I always say he's the man. He's the man.
Thank you, Brett.
Greg, I do have a quick follow up with that. I don't or anybody. This is to anybody. Have you been noticing the way this is being spun on social media? With so, for instance, why didn't the defense cross Agent Brian Davis? And then you have people in the comments saying, if there was anything to it, the defense would have said something. Or now there's exactly, right. And also there's this is kind of like one of the newest things. Researcher Diligent Denizen, he went to the Cowboys Smokehouse and interviewed the employees and has them on video. I don't know. Have you seen this, Don? Have you seen it?
No.
So
he showed the receipt too.
And he showed the receipt. So Tyler Robinson, I think Candace Owens actually brought this out first, very early on. That she had a source, and this guy, the person that Diligent interviewed, was the source, and he just interviewed him like maybe a week ago, I think. Has him on camera, and he says that the person that took the bill and took the money from Tyler Robinson. He said that he was there at around 8:55 p.m. on September 10th, and he left at around 10 p.m., right around closing time. And it takes from the city. What was the name of the city?
Panguitch.
Panguitch.
Panguitch. So Panguitch, I guess, is 3 hours south of Provo, Utah. So it would have taken Tyler Robinson if he would have left Panguitch at 10 p.m., he wouldn't have arrived in Provo, Utah until 1 a.m. But the state is saying that Tyler Robinson was there, hiding out, waiting for the cops to leave so he could go retrieve Grandpa's rifle.
Well, and they're basing his guilt on the text messages when his text messages said he was there at
whatever at 12 a.m. at around 12 a.m.
And his fingerprints are on his fingerprints are on his rifle.
Imagine that.
He also has an interaction with Officer Wyforth at 12:30 back at UVU.
Yeah, allegedly.
And the driving time just doesn't fit in with their timeline.
And let me say, I was going to say real quick, Greg.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the people on the socials are saying, oh, well, first of all, they're like not getting it. They're like, this doesn't prove he has an alibi. The unaliving of Charlie Kirk happened at 12:30 p.m. They're not getting it that the state says that Robinson was in Provo during this time that he was in Panguitch.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And so and everyone trying to counter this, and they're trolls, they're bots. We know what side of the
Donna Pappas, I don't know if she's right or not. She said Tyler Robinson has not entered a plea yet. Maybe they don't enter a plea until the real trial.
No, he's pled not guilty.
Yeah.
Let me say one thing about that. So where I said that there's some force behind the scenes that get to these defense attorneys, but these people at the restaurant had apparently spoken with the FBI. They had reached out to the state prosecutor. I think presumably the defense, at least through Candace's show, should have known about this, yet none of them followed up with it, right? None of them followed up.
The witnesses say they didn't. The witnesses said nobody came out to interview them. The defense didn't come out to interview them.
So when people say concerted effort, right? This is a concerted effort amongst all sides in this towards the same goal. And I guess we don't know what that quite is yet, but be the prosecution of Tyler Robinson, essentially.
So my question to you about that, Greg, real quick, is that there's no reason why the defense shouldn't have interviewed them. So, I mean, exactly. I mean, so there's no, even, whether it was true or not, the defense should have been up there. So, I mean, this is why I think that the defense is in on it.
Yeah, me too. Oh, yeah,
they usually are.
Yeah. That, and then also not. And let me say this about not cross-examining Brian Davis and why I think it's the whole courtroom's in on it, because it happened right before the lunch break. They conveniently stopped the state's direct examination just right before the lunch break, and then judge just kind of quietly asked about, okay, well then we're going to cross-examine, and then the attorney quietly said no, and within 10 seconds they're like, okay, going to lunch. And just, you could tell there was a concerted effort to really keep it quiet, that they weren't going to, just a lot of courtroom, them working in tandem with one another. I've seen.
This is a pattern again we've seen in so many of these cases. Debbie Smith, thank you very much in the chat. John, I will give you a chance to chime in. What are your general thoughts of the preliminary hearing?
I think it made the obvious even more obvious. I knew by how much they were allowing the public to infer that they had key data that they didn't have, like fingerprints from the roof, a clear visual of the rifle being anywhere on the roof, the whole chain of custody for the rifle to be the murder weapon. It needs to be seen in and around the crime scene, and we don't have that. The only thing that ties Tyler or the murder weapon to the roof is a screwdriver. Which the chain of custody is broken because the camera conveniently runs out of batteries right before they see it. And then we have an unidentified officer that just has a badge that's there during the very moments when the screwdriver is found. And a screwdriver is a screwdriver. Like it's not, it's not a necessity for the murder of Charlie wasn't killed with a screwdriver. The only thing that ties it to it is that they infer that it was used to put the rifle together, but we never see the rifle. So what does it really infer if there's no rifle to be seen to be put together? And we're only to pretend that the rifle in the stock are down his pants. It's just a game of they put enough pieces together and they allow everyone's imagination to fill in the rest. And they make scandalous, accusations about Tyler to make people want to dehumanize him. And then it's very easy for people just to fill in the blanks and want to just see him, get the firing squad. And so it just seems more like a psych op than it ever has before to me.
Yeah, because if they convince the public, before the trial starts, if they convince the public that he's guilty, or a big portion of the public, then when he gets Epstein, then nobody asks any questions. Nobody cares.
Yeah, he was burdened with guilt. The incredible amount of evidence, the 4K footage of him taking the shot was too much for him to deal with.
Transgender lover turned his back.
You believe Graham Allen, Brandon Talmud, Tatum, and
I think that shows their desperation. That wasn't pre-planned. That was a knee-jerk reaction to bring in the slop narrators of their only influence left, which is these pretend podcasters to come out and all witness this thing that we know is not true and go and just, blanket parrot the exact same message over and over again. It's so easy to see. They all say the exact same thing.
Overwhelming.
They use the same verbiage, it's like they think it's like a spell that if they all say the same thing and they all say it enough that people just will fall in line and believe it.
Slam dunk case.
It gives it away, when you have so many different people with different demographics all using the exact same terms to describe something, it just makes it really suspicious.
At least Benny Johnson was honest, at the very end. The last thing he said was, Erica asked us to do this. Pretty sure he said us too. So Well,
Erica's not only the first widow in history that cannot be questioned about anything because she's a widow.
Oh yeah.
Apparently she's above the law. But the other thing is she has a right to a speedy trial. Somebody said that they actually passed that law in Utah that I guess family members or just her.
Right.
Especially the defendant has a right to a speedy trial, right?
Well, and not only that, but one of the first I've seen ever heard of that had a right to, all of what should have been considered evidence. I mean, we start talking about necklaces and phones and a lot of items that should be locked up in a locker somewhere, sealed in a bag, waiting on a trial.
I don't know how many, I've been at this for a long time, obviously. And the JFK assassination is my wheelhouse. So that's where I really started going down these rabbit holes. There's so many parallels here. You talk about the chain of possession. Most people, the JFK, and Steve knows, I'm sure, but the JFK assassination in a real courtroom, which it wouldn't have been an honest courtroom back then. And he would have, Oswald was trying to get a high-profile lawyer, John Apt, who was represented a lot of and of course Apt blew him off. He had no interest in defending him. So he probably would have got a terrible lawyer too if he had stood trial. But you had the murder weapon could not have been introduced in that court because there's no chain of possession for it. Both the officers, Eugene Boone and Seymour Weitzman, that found it on the 6th floor, described it as a German Mauser, ironically, and we had the Mauser involved in this case. They would just come up with this Italian Mannlicher or Carcano, and there's no chain of possession for it at all. Legally speaking, what was found on that 6th floor was a German Mauser. So if a competent defense attorney, Greg, am I right, would just say, Your Honor, there's no, where did this Italian Mannlicher come from?
Chain of custody is extremely important. And, in a lot of my cases in the real world, a lot of government officials just chain of custody because so many criminal cases plea out. Very sloppy and haphazard with it. But you have to prove the provenance and authenticity of an item of evidence. And, like the videos with Terrell Farnsworth taking those SD cards before, the government got possession, it creates real problems under the rules of evidence if either side wanted to later get those videos into evidence.
What about the fact that the FBI to even access all of that footage, had to go through Turning Point at least for a time. And then, we plainly saw him pull out SD cards. No camera takes a flash drive, but yet he said right there on the stand that they received flash drives. Yeah. So they did not get the original. No. They didn't get the original copies.
No, and that's tampering with evidence, obstruction of justice. And, they arrested someone a few days later, right, who took a selfie within the crime scene tape. Yet in the immediate aftermath, we have, it's the most heinous. And, my buddy, my lawyer buddy, Charles Carry-On, we had a live stream the other day. That's all he wanted to talk about was just how heinous and incredible that something like that is to happen.
And what about MLK? Good God, there's a lot of people that's talked about that over the years, but if you've ever heard Judge Joe Brown talk about it, same scenario there. Wrong gun. Gary Melton always wants to say, are they just so stupid that they can't get the right gun? Well, historically, they never can get the right gun, obviously.
No.
There's a famous photo after the shot where they're all pointing that way, the opposite direction.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? It came from over there, but
and the guy, by the way, cradling his head or whatever on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel was an admitted CIA guy. They're which they always have. They're surrounded by these guys. But Bill Pepper, who was his attorney, later. It's astounding testimony. Of course, he got no play at all. But he had witnesses inside the hospital that described a doctor suffocating King to death. They said the bullet didn't kill him. They named the doctor that they were accusing of, and it got no play in the press at all. This is the great civil rights leader We have a holiday named after him. And some obviously racist doctor, I guess, was accused of suffocating him to death. And they named the doctor. I didn't know about that for a long time, too. And until John Barber told me William Pepper was. But these things they're that's why I don't have any confidence, because they've let, we already saw, for instance, in this case, the SUV was, destroyed because it was sold at auction. Mm-hmm. And that was a very important piece, whether, John's theory about what was in there in terms of exploding Mike or whatever else, the lack of blood or, anything, they couldn't be examined. But we already had that precedent with the JFK assassination, where the Secret Service washed out the limousine, which was a crime scene, right before he was even pronounced dead. And then they
also paved over the crime scene.
Yes, paved over the crime scene, and they replaced the windshield in JFK's limousine. So they have a precedent for doing this. They do this all the time. And then, they wouldn't, very famously at Oklahoma City, Stephen Jones, who was McVeigh's very inadequate defense attorney, he kind of conspired to do it, but they wanted to have independent investigators inspect the rubble for traces of bomb residue, because most people think there were bombs there. Yeah. And they wouldn't let him do it. They carted it off.
Due process should require, under normal instances, due process would require that a defense attorney or their investigators get a chance to examine the same scene or evidence that the prosecution's going to be or having examined or used to against them, right? Yeah, it's incredible. And I hope the public doesn't let this go. I hope this continues to
I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going. This one's not going to get let go. I don't believe.
Well, the great thing,
Greg, could I just clear up one point about the plea? I actually don't think Tyler has entered a plea yet. I think that's going to happen on the 1st of September once the magistrate calls whether it's going to go to trial or not, whether he's found probable cause. I think after that is when he actually asked Tyler to enter his plea, if I'm correct.
No, so when he was arraigned in America, whenever you're arrested and then you're arraigned, you make your initial plea. Now, he's not stuck with that plea. Yeah, but the fact that we're even going further in a proceeding means he pled not guilty. Had he pled guilty at the arraignment,
none of this.
Then he would have been sentenced right there. Okay. Now he will have another chance to maybe they ask him again, but there has been a non-guilty plea entered just because we're still having a proceeding. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Well, we're a few steps ahead of where we always have been then. Because typically, that's why I don't know if they're doing this because I don't know what they're doing. A lot of stuff, the open discussion of Zionism that's taken place and all that, which never was allowed before. I'm suspicious about all these things, but I assume they're going to have the real trial televised as well, because this is important so the public can see the sausage being made. Because you've already seen the defense not cross-examine somebody they should have cross-examined. So that's just going to be more exacerbated if they don't do it in the real trial. And people can see, why aren't you doing that? And social media, all you guys and all the other influencers that are being, drawing audiences with this, you're going to be saying, why did they do this? And they're going to be second guessed. But we don't usually get to do that. The trials of Jared Lee Loughner and Holmes, the Batman Aurora killer, Boston bombing, they weren't televised. So this will be interesting to see. But I think I hope we don't let it go, because it's but if you look at those MAGA influencers and the right especially, they are just, they just keep talking about it. This crystal clear video, and there's no video of the face at all.
No.
So would you guys want to be convicted on evidence like that when your face is never identified?
The whole courtroom gasped.
Yeah. It was that clear. But that's what we're getting to. And they just want. And that's the problem, is that there's I'm a civil libertarian. There's very few of us left. I don't expect people to do that, but it's amazing. People just love to convict people. Greg, as a defense attorney, I'm talking about it. They don't understand reasonable doubt. They don't understand anything about you're innocent until proven guilty. They want this guy executed. Period. And that's they will not rest until that happens. And Erica, again, forgiving him, would she forgive him really early on, right? When she didn't have a chance to analyze any kind of evidence. Why isn't she asking questions about who killed her husband? Shouldn't she be the first one to do that?
Megyn Kelly wants to be there when it happens. Megyn Kelly, a lawyer.
She said she would flip the switch.
Yeah,
said
one
she-
week into it, she says, "I've seen all the evidence. I know what's admissible and not admissible,
Yeah,
and
no.
I want to be there. He needs to fry." Let me tell you something about. Yeah, Megyn Kelly's evil. If you ask me, just my opinion. That something like that is,
Yeah.
ma'am.
I always love when you start talking about the rifle again, going back to the 30-06. You got Gary Melton. I can almost quote him word for word, but he says, "Well, what about Martin Luther King?" He's like, "No exit wound. How do you explain that?" Well, yeah, technically he did have an exit wound. I mean, it went in his face and it came out his jaw. Exit wound. Then it went back into his body and traveled down into his. I mean, like down in. Like way down in there.
Steve, you look like you want to share
something.
something. You have something you want to share again?
Oh yeah. If you have a moment for everybody. So what I was talking
let's
about
add to
earlier
this.
about this is the interview that Diligent Denizen went. He did this in person. He found the witness. He went to the restaurant, Cowboys Smokehouse, and this is the. So he's obviously anonymous. He's protecting his identity here.
Sure.
So I'll play it. Hopefully the audio isn't too loud or too low.
All right. I'm here interviewing one of the employees that met, who they say it was Tyler Robinson, on the night of September the 10th, around 9 p.m. Here at Cowboys Smokehouse in Panguitch, Utah. So how long have you worked at Cowboys?
I've been here about a year and a half now.
A year and a half now?
Yep.
And were you here on the night, were you working on the night of September?
Yes, I was working here. I remembered him coming in, sitting at the bar. He ordered a steak, a couple beers.
Did he sit at the end of the bar?
Close to the end, second seat in. I wasn't the waiter who was taking his order and everything, but I did have a couple interactions with him, just trying to help out. And yeah, I heard his voice and it was unforgettable.
Unforgettable. And were you also the one that called it in to Candace?
Yes, I did send in the tip. Everything after I'd notified my boss, we reached out to the authorities. He contacted the FBI. They got our contact information, but we never heard anything from them.
You never heard back from the FBI after you reported it?
Never heard anything. And that's kind of what prompted me to send it in. It just didn't sit right with me.
And how certain are you that it was Tyler Robinson that you saw?
100%.
100%?
When I had heard his voice, he was just a weird guy, and I wasn't really paying attention to my phone that day. I'd seen that Charlie had been shot, and I didn't really want to give any of my energy to it until I was done with work. And the next morning, I went to my other job, and my coworker was kind of talking to me about it. He pulled up a picture. He said I looked like I was a little shocked by it, because I recognized the face. And then later that night, or that day rather, they released a video of him getting his college acceptance letter. And when I heard his voice, it was no doubt in
Dead
my
ringer
mind that was him.
And do you know what time he left?
It was close to closing, so it was around.
What time do you guys close?
10 o'clock.
And the receipt that I have here, and I have the receipt that was used that night by him, says 9:47 on the checkout time. Does that sound about right?
Sounds about right. And I was the one who helped him check out too.
And you were the one that helped him check out? So
Yep.
you're the one that you took the card from him?
Yep.
Okay.
And that's just like I told. I took the card. I figured that would be good information for the feds to look into it, and
they never checked into it, not once.
I don't know if they checked into that. I know they got that information from my boss.
So they got the information, but you don't know. You never heard back again.
Never heard anything from them. No.
The defense, did the prosecution ever reach out to you guys to come testify or anything like that?
No one's reached out to us at all.
Has the defense hasn't reached out to you?
Nope.
No one's reached out to you whatsoever, even though you saw him. that night.
Yeah, no one's reached out regarding anything to do with Tyler Robinson.
Yep, that's it. And he did post the receipt. Let's see.
I don't know if any of y'all have done it, but I've got a summary I did when I ran it through ChatGPT. If you're interested.
Sure. Yeah. Well, again,
yeah,
explain for the audience what the significance is. This was at what time that he was supposedly there.
So right here, this is the receipt that Diligent Denizen posted on his X page. 9:10, 8:55 p.m. is when he ordered. And then when he left was 9:47 p.m. And this is Utah time. The state is saying that Tyler Robinson was in Provo, Utah, like hiding out in wait and texting his Luna saying, I'm trying to retrieve the rifle, but there's vehicles, so I may not be able to. Grandpa's going to be upset. Yeah, so the text reads that he's right there waiting for the rifle right around the time he's at this restaurant. And yeah, it's like I said, it's like a 3-hour drive from this restaurant to UVU campus. So, and if you remember Agent David Hall, when he was on the stand, they introduced the ring cam footage of supposedly it's a Dodge Challenger. He says he literally says it's Tyler's Challenger. But when he was cross-examined by the defense, Kathy Nestor, she says, well, how come you left out that the people that turned in the ring cam footage said that it was a bald man driving with 3 other people in the car?
Yeah.
So it couldn't have been Tyler Robinson. I've never had so much pushback by people in my comments or commenting in these on X of people pushing back. I'm talking about bots. I think they're very scared. I think they're very scared about this information right now, and that the defense hasn't pursued it. They did go to interview the witnesses. The prosecution didn't. Apparently, the feds didn't. So anyway, yeah, that's the gist of the story.
I have a theory. This is my theory, everybody. Just again, allegedly, my opinion. I obviously think what happened to Charlie Kirk, this incident, in my belief, was a Mossad operation. And I think the pushback against the Fed-slop narrative we're seeing now is CIA backed. I think because of AIPAC and the control over the government that's been occurring and a possible co-opting of the FBI by the Mossad, I think that this Charlie Kirk situation is an intelligence war. And again,
well, he did say it.
I think you're spot on, Greg.
Yeah,
I think you're absolutely spot on.
He was abandoning the Israeli cause, and he was telling people that he thought Israel was going to kill him. Now, Israel, obviously not the country of Israel, but the leadership or whoever was, I guess, funding his operation.
Well, I think that's why the other side seems to have so much invested in this, and everybody that is saying he's guilty and it's overwhelming and slam dunk and all that, every one of them are diehard Zionists, and some of the biggest Zionists like Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin, people like that. But, eyebrows. But this will be, because we've never, and it'll be interesting to see, when he pleads not guilty, I don't know who's Bruno Hauptmann, Richard Hauptmann pled not guilty in the 1930s. But since then, I don't know if any of these show trials, if anybody's even pleaded not guilty, and will his family stand behind him? Because, Candace and other sources are saying, they're telling people behind the scenes. That would also be a first. Marguerite Oswald did, Oswald's mother, the only one in his family that did, but nobody else did. His brother and his widow, was scared to, get deported. But that would be great if they do that. But we'll see. And what do you guys make of Charlie Kirk's? Because again, Candace has been has done, I think, great research. Whatever about her background or anything, but she's done some great research certainly on this case. But she, how many videos have we seen that Charlie Kirk's family was about to speak out, especially his sister? And yet we're told that in this trial, not only they sit next to each other, but that Erica and his mother shared several tearful hugs or something. Is that real? And if so, what were all those other videos about? Somebody must have heard something from them.
I've been meaning to ask Billy about that because I know she was in the courtroom at least one or two of those days, and I keep forgetting. I do need to ask her about that in particular.
Well, apparently they have HD footage of it's Tyler Robinson. Then Benny Johnson came out and said that.
Yeah,
And,
you can see
a
his
couple of other
muscles
people.
flexing,
so
and
you know it's true, right?
The pad of his finger, depressing the trigger.
Yeah, no, it's I just think that's because again, that to me that looked like but I don't know if somebody got to them, if they were pressured or whatever. But she didn't mention them in public. At the memorial, she barely ever said anything about
or
them.
vice versa.
Yeah, or vice versa. They weren't talking at all. So, I thought, well, there's got to be some truth to this. And the way she acts and how, she's taken center stage and everything, I would think they're kind of offended by that. And they watched the memorial with the fireworks and everything. I mean, I would be, but who knows? But guys, what I usually like to do at this time, I drop the link in the chat and see if anybody has any questions for our esteemed panel. Come on in, and you don't have to show your face, but you can come. You can be on video if you want, or you can be on audio. But just follow the link there, click on it, and you can come in the studio. But
Can I ask Greg a quick question?
Yeah,
shoot.
Greg, do you think that they've actually reached probable cause? Do you think they've presented enough for probable cause?
My personal opinion is no, but like my opinion in the reality of the criminal justice system in America, particularly in Utah, and the political pressure that's on Judge in this case, yes. But I think if it was a straight up and down normal case, it would be less. I would be less certain saying yes.
Well,
sure.
It's like Baron said. I mean, the preliminary is not the time to dissect any of the quote unquote evidence. If they have it and there's anything that points in that direction, it's going to trial, and that's where you get to pick it apart.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do they have, whether it's legit or not, do they have enough evidence to even suggest possibly, maybe, perhaps, that he did it? I mean, yeah. Even though we know a lot of that evidence probably is not not very solid.
Yeah. I'm under the same impression. I believe it's going to go to trial, but yeah, I think it's pretty sketchy.
And I'll give a quick illustration of that. It's kind of like the text messages, right? Like we all don't believe that they're authentic, right? Well, I mean, a lot of people that I talk with, right?
Yeah. Very Hollywoodish.
Yeah, but again, like through the double hearsay, reliable hearsay, you can get an officer up there to give some general testimony to, somewhat establish that they got them in a manner that seems to be authentic. But again, when you get to trial, that'll be where the defense lawyers bring up all these outside circumstances around it, get to cross-examine Lance Twiggs, et cetera, right? So that's why it's like, maybe probable cause beyond a reasonable doubt. I mean, shouldn't be, but with the lawyers.
I mean, like Baron said, this would normally be over in a day. I mean, we got 5 days of it. So, I mean, I think by the standard anyway, whether or not that evidence is legit, I think they had enough to show probable cause.
Yeah, here we have people coming in here. R.B. Ham, the fighting Canadian convoy man, who was one of the leaders of the Canadian convoy truckers up there in Canada, paid the price for it. Hey, how you doing, brother?
Doing good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, are you back in your truck? You're on the road.
Yeah, I'm gonna quickly give my quick theory, and then I gotta go because I'm loading some lumber here at the Meadow Lake lumber, and it's 90-degree weather too. It's not pleasant, so here's what I'm thinking, because when I first saw it live, what happened to Charlie, it looked like he had a Chester cast on, one of those Hollywood prostheses. That's why his shirt pumped up, and that's why you have that wound to the neck, and the blood comes out in a stream like gravity. Like when he got shot in the neck, he didn't have the blood going backwards. There was no exit wound and all that stuff. It just seemed like a little pinprick, and the blood was coming out in an arc, and it just settled, right in front of him, like it was like gravity. Yeah, it didn't look natural at all. It looked like it was one of those Hollywood prostheses where the blood squib gets squished out from the. He was wearing the prosthesis under the shirt. The blood squib gets detonated from a remote location. The blood comes out. So what my theory is that he was in on it at the start. He thought this was going to be a staged event. They were going to stage his death, and then he was going to go to Valhalla. But I think they double-crossed him, and they also shocked him with his microphone or whatever, gave him a shock to knock him out. And then because when they carry him to the SUV, there's no blood anywhere, no blood on anybody. There's no bloodstream. If you're hitting your jugular, there'd be blood everywhere. The guys would be covered in blood carrying them, but there's no blood anywhere, right? And you have also, and we covered this on my show, Don. We have the anomalous activities of all those people that were videotaping, not videotaping Charlie, but videotaping the crowd, all that stuff.
Yeah, if you
so
look at
weird. So what I think is they double crossed him. Once they got him into the SUV, as they were taken to the hospital, of course, the farthest away one, not the nearest one. They finished him off in the SUV because Baron Coleman had that show where he showed where he played the 911 calls of the cops communicating with each other, saying that they're seeing a guy's legs hanging out from the SUV. It looks like he's trying to escape.
They were busy talking with Ben Shapiro's security team, consulting them.
Yeah, so that's my theory is that he thought he was going to be like he was going to go along with the program. Maybe he was threatened. They said, "Look, you either do this, or we really will kill you," and this is the plan for him. And then they double-crossed him and took care of him, finished him off in the SUV, and that's my theory. I don't know if you guys would go along with it. I'm just saying, from what I saw, and me and Don covered on my show, that very anomalous first shot that he gets, and the blood coming out of his neck in a pinprick, and like he was wearing one of those tubes that go up the neck that cover it with makeup, and then they detonate the blood pack, and it just squibs out, and it did not look normal.
Well, it makes more sense than Tyler Robinson did. I appreciate you, brother.
Okay, I got to go. Love you guys. Bye.
Try to stay cool. Thank you, sir. Take care. At Darby Ham. So what do you guys think of that?
I've been having trouble with the amount of blood. Okay. And my special forces brother-in-law also too, about the amount of blood that we see, at the main event. Them, taking care of him on the way to the hospital. Then I can't totally rule that out. It doesn't sound far-fetched.
Well, some blood showed up in the limousine, especially when they were analyzing John's, exploding microphone in there and the little pieces. But what I was on a show and we did this, when they were carrying him, the video of them carrying him to the SUV, there's no blood coming out. There's no trail of blood anywhere. And it's very odd, and he's also talking about we're looking in the crowd for strange things. There's a woman, especially she has a bird's eye view that she could have filmed this event, and she's turned and she's filming something else. She just literally has her back to him doing it. It's very odd if you look at what's going on in the crowd. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
John, you should take this one, but I just want to point out there's a couple things I do want to point out. So at first, that seemed really strange. The dispatch call saying that somebody was hanging out of the vehicle, but it is a fact that when they left, that door was not closed. Now you can argue over whether they should have been able to get it closed going down the road or not, but when they left, that door was not closed. So it could have very well been Charlie's legs hanging out the door. I know there was a lot of back and forth saying, no, somebody was trying to get out. Somebody had opened the door. Maybe, maybe not. The other thing is if John's theory holds true, which, obviously everybody knows that's the way I lean, with the way that happened, his heart would have stopped. There was a lot of blood that come out of there initially. It wasn't just a trickle. And then past that, heart's probably not beating. So, there wouldn't be just an insane amount of blood. You look at what came out in that first split second, a body doesn't hold enough blood to maintain that from there to that vehicle. And I do know there are some shots that do show at least a small blood trail, but yeah, John, you take it. Cause you answered these more than anybody.
I think if you look at Charlie's physical reactions immediately before the neck wound even appears, he's given the indication that he's already experiencing fatal injuries before the neck wound's even visible. So his knees clasp together, his arms clench, his elbows go out. It's pretty obvious that he was in a near fatal state before we even see the blood start to erupt out of his neck.
And I don't think anybody can act that good either.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that we didn't see any pulsation from the jugular wound, right? We just see basically like his system depressurizing. We see an initial surge of blood, and it kind of trickles off, and as he falls over, it's less and less. But we know that there's a good amount of blood on the table. You can see pictures of it. We know the people that pulled the sod up, the sod was soaking with blood when they were rolling the sod up off the scene. It was dripping blood on their arms. And we know that there's at least still some blood that was able to kind of smear around the SUV on the seats, seat belts, the floor, some of the particulate we see around the floor. So there was a good amount of blood. I would say that the blood would not indicate that his heart was still beating, though. I find it very hard to believe that they found a pulse. I think that was just a ruse. The whole "we found a weak pulse" was a ruse, and again the whole discrepancy of the people in the SUV of what happened on the way to the hospital. Were they given CPR? Were they praying? Were they not given CPR? Were they putting 36 feet of gauze in his neck?
We're talking to Ben Shapiro.
Did they cut his shirt off before? Did they cut his shirt off on the hospital gurney? Like, it's all very convoluted. Every time they tell the story, it's a little bit different. So it doesn't surprise me at all that some strange occurrences happened on the way to the hospital. It seemed like a very ragtag group of people to pile into a SUV when you had two trained EMTs with full kits, arms length away. Yep. I would think that two security guards probably could have tapped out at that point, and the two trained EMTs with the full kits could probably have done a better job of seeing to Charlie. So you just add all these irregular kind of scenarios up, and it leaves a lot of room for speculation. But I would say that if you look at Charlie closely at the moments from the very first movements that he has to the point where he starts to fall over, it becomes pretty clear he has all the classic signs that he's had a fatal injury well before the neck even starts to erupt in blood.
Patrice I saw Patrice was trying to get in. Patrice, come back if you want. I don't know. You can come back in. I have to wait a little bit, but I'm sorry.
It was more important to let Frank Turk in the SUV than to let the EMTs with the life-saving equipment that they had.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And they had to consult with Ben Shapiro's, and according to Tim Pool, according to Tim Pool, they were consulting with his security team too. Okay.
That's a lot of phone calls going on.
A lot of now I lost White Wolf. Oh, sorry, White. We weren't waiting that long. Okay, we got Bronx Stomper here though. What's going on, Bronx Stomper?
How you doing? Twisted wants to know if anybody on the panel has read Charlie's letter to Netanyahu.
Yes,
that supposedly came out before that.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
But that was before his 3 or 4 video appearances where he talked about he was questioning Zionism. Like they always bring that up, but that was before, right?
I don't know.
If you go back and go through that letter, and I've got a show where I read every word of it, and I give my honest take on it. I don't think it's the way a lot of people made it out to be. A lot of people were like, yeah, see, he was turning away, didn't want to have anything to do with it. Other people are like, no, look, he's just a Zionist shill. Look at him. He never changed his mind. No, I think if you really go through it and you really pay attention to what's being said, he is telling him how to solve his problem, but he's also telling him that you need to do it. This is your PR problem. You need to have your Israel people do this. Come up with a website, whatever, that's Israeli, and I'm fine with that. If you know that it's Israelis, you know what to expect from them. But when you get these people that are claiming to be America first, and, I would be totally fine with that. But he laid out how to fix the problem. But he also said, you need to do it. Y'all need to do it. Quit paying American influencers to try to, smooth things over.
Yeah,
you do it.
And he did contradict some of the sentiment in that letter. Like he did an interview on Ben Shapiro. With Ben Shapiro, he brought it up. With Megyn Kelly, he brought it up. And one other place where he talks about being threatened. And he talks about they're conforming to the worst Jewish stereotypes. I mean, this is very clear. These are videos of him saying this. And then, of course, there's Candace Owens' text. There was, I think, the night before, where he talks about, this he's through with Israel or something like that. Or he's just, and so I to me, that's the best evidence because it was the closest to when he was assassinated. But White Wolf, we lost White Wolf and Patrice both. I'm sorry about that, guys. So come back in if you want to.
But to me, in that letter, he lays out how to fix the whole PR image. But he also says, do it yourself. Quit hiring American influencers. That's my take on it.
I don't think it helped Charlie Kirk's life expectancy when he came out and said that October 7th was staged.
Yeah.
No, I mean, in that interview with Ben Shapiro, when he says, we've learned to question the news because of this, that, and the other. Is it right to maybe question him about this whole subject? I thought his eyebrows were going to slap.
Oh, it's so obvious that he was evolving on this, and he was saying, I just. Plus, he had been threatened. Well, Patrice was here, and she's gone again. Patrice, I don't know. You weren't there very long that time. So sorry. Go ahead, Bronx Stomper.
Yeah, no. So like what John was saying, like I've said that since day one. The way that Charlie's body language was, that is a stereotypical central nervous shot. Like the way his hand drew up, his body language, and all that stuff, and then which would then shut the heart down, stop pumping blood, which would explain why it didn't continue to spray or anything like that. Like if somebody just had their jugular or carotid cut or hit or whatever. And I mean, like I had a friend in college in the practice pen, a bull's dew claw slit his throat, and it just barely nicked his jugular vein. And I mean, it sprayed like 3 feet that first pump, so it's pretty wild. But I
remember there was a hockey player. If RB Ham was here, I'm sure you remember Clint Malarchuk, who played for the Capitals back in the day, who had his jugular vein cut on the ice by a skate. And wow, I mean, half the ice was covered with blood. I mean, it was unbelievable.
That happened again not too long ago, didn't it? A guy got hit with a skate during the Olympics or something.
Maybe. So, but I mean, it's serious. And of course, they had people there to rush out right away. They had team doctors and everything. They had EMT people there on standby. But
kind of like Charlie was supposed to have.
Yeah, exactly. And he had that SUV.
And that's the other thing that never really made sense to me. Like, you can't have a high school football game or basketball game without having EMTs sitting there. Like when I was doing stuff in college, like there was all kinds of small events, not some nationally known person showing up that they would not sign off on unless you had EMTs and all this other stuff there. So that didn't necessarily make sense. And the fact that they wouldn't let, I guess there was some EMTs there, but not an ambulance on site.
Brian, hold on a second, because Patrice keeps losing her connection. She's in there now. Patrice, I want you to get your question in before your device gets unconnected again.
Well, first of all, I don't believe any of this. I think they're all in on every side.
Sure.
But what about what Jeff Rentz brought up originally within, 3 days?
Yes, he was talking about that the other night, yeah.
The guy in the brown shirt.
Yeah,
he's
Rick
definitely doing
something Rick Cutler, yes.
That is completely in sync with what happens with Charlie. So what the hell is that?
What do you guys think of the Rick Cutler theory?
Yeah. I agree with Baron Coleman. I think there were a lot of people doing a lot of things to catch people's eye.
Yeah,
I really
interference.
do.
I think it was interference,
Yes.
planned interference.
There are so many people out in the crowd that do suspicious things with their
but
right
then
at the very time.
But then he was part of the team to come get Charlie, and he's smiling the entire time.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cheshire Cat. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we know that happens at all these events. Yeah.
I saw that, I heard that show that Patrice is referencing, your appearance on Jeff Rentz, I guess on Monday.
Yes.
And he did bring that up. He's like, I solved the case like within a day.
Yeah, and Candace Owens did. I understand. I don't think Candace Owens is going to mention you.
One thing I will say about that, Patrice, sorry, real quick. If you do watch the video, if you can, I mean, at least I do, you can see Charlie Kirk's shirt move.
Yes.
There is a slight movement before the Rick Cutler supposed palm pistol.
Yeah.
It pops
Before
up
he
and then
loses
that
it.
happens.
It does. So I have to disagree with Jeff Rentz just on that point alone, that it looks like something had already happened before Rick Cutler even moved his hand.
But Candace gave that guy's name out the other day.
Yeah, Rick Cutler.
Rick
His name's
Cutler.
Cutler.
Yeah. Yeah, he was at the trial or the hearing. I don't know if anybody noticed that or not.
Yeah, and like Adam, you said that maybe it was interference or everybody was doing something to throw people off. I was even thinking about maybe, this is way out there, but maybe all of the security guys, if they were in on it, they all had some kind of a device and they timed it out to Dan Flood's arm signal when he does this. If everybody pushed it at the same time and only one was, say, a detonator, nobody would know who actually
firing squad.
So they wouldn't have guilt. You know what I mean? But
only one's got a loaded gun.
Do you really think he's dead? Do you really?
I think he's dead. I think I'm with John Bray all day long on the exploding device. And I wanted to ask John real quick, the photo that Baron Coleman released of it was the Charles McClintock photo that showed under the nipple there was some looked like to me bruising and maybe an area that had some kind of something strapped to his chest that wasn't damaged.
Yeah.
Have you seen that, John? And do you think that possibly that was the device, or maybe if there was some kind of a transmitter in there, that's what sent the signal to the actual road mic? I never heard. I don't think I've heard your thoughts about that, and if you don't mind, I'd like to hear what you think.
When I was still trying to determine if he had body armor or what type of body armor he had on, I looked at every image that was available of him preparing for the event, and the only thing that was underneath his shirt was his necklace, his cross pendant, and that the Rogue mic. So I think what we're seeing there is just like abrasion and bruising from like the cavitation of the blast sending a shockwave. You can see the flesh wave across his back, and you can't see the chest so much because he's leaned forward, but you can see it on his arm. You even see the shockwave go through his arm. So I believe the reason why that area in particular didn't show much of the kind of like abrasion, bruising is because it's a very lean area of your body, right under your pectoral muscle. There's not a lot of flesh there. It's pretty just bony. And so cavitation that kind of like works through the fluids in your tissue. So wherever an area that's very lean, it's going to have a lot less cavitation. Like if you ever been like spanked by your mom real hard and you get the handprint, like you won't get a handprint somewhere where it's really lean on your body, but you'll get a really definite handprint where you have like softer tissue. It's the same kind of phenomenon.
Renita Sophia, thank you very much.
And shameless plug, me and John did a show a couple weeks ago. If you'll go back, we look at the pictures and talk about that for a little bit. So,
okay,
cool. Yeah.
So what about
Patrice? Anything else?
No, there's just so much that doesn't add up, and they just think we're fools. And suck it up, Buttercup.
They
just
do.
What it's all about.
They do think we're fools. But what's so nice to see, and the great thing, just in this case alone, how many people, Baron Cameron, I don't know if he was that big before this, but he's kind of made it, big name.
Yeah, it's Baron Cameron, my brother. No, I'm just kidding. It's Baron Coleman.
Yeah, no.
Baron Coleman, I'm sorry. Of course, I'm getting it mixed up with the great Steve Cameron.
When I was watching him, when I first started watching him, he had like 350 subscribers.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? Yeah. Well, it helps when Candace Owens. I hope it helped you, John, because having someone like Candace Owens mention your name that's big time.
Yep.
I wonder how much she knows that she isn't.
I guarantee she knows a lot more. Yeah. She's very patient and diligent. Like the information.
A lot of people consider it gatekeeping, but it's not.
It's not. She's very strategic. She knows. Yep. She understands. My autistic mind just wants to go to conclusion right off the bat, but she understands. Like most people can't handle that sort of like information drop at once. They just can't process that much at once, and so she's very good at building all the cast of characters around and having people understand the possibilities of something happening before she actually shows you the data of the thing actually happening.
Well,
Yeah, I mean,
what
if
is-
you were to drop this whole thing, I mean, like everybody would pick out one little tiny piece of it, and then that's it.
I dropped it 10 days after their event, and you can't
Yeah.
believe how many times I was called retarded or inbred.
Oh, that's their favorite word.
Well,
yeah.
the other thing is MK Ultra. I mean, Erica Kirk is just she has been groomed forever. Her whole history, her family.
She's got quite a history.
I live near Cincinnati. This just doesn't have. Well, there's crazy stuff that always happens around here. There's just so many things. Right, Patterson Air Force Base is like 30 minutes away. We're always. It's a triangulation of a bunch of crap. Bushes, Barbara Bush is from this area. There's just Charles Manson was born in Cincinnati. It's just
you got that. You got that going for you.
Yeah, and George Clooney. Yeah.
Well, and so much of that I was going to say on X especially, I'm just astounded at the vitriol. Almost everybody that comments and says Tyler Robinson didn't do it always personalizes it with Candace Owens. They start with an attack on her, and it's like they're personalizing it. And also Erica Kirk is in this because before she even started talking that much about the Kirk case or separate from it, she did this in-depth investigation of Erica Kirk. Everything we know about Erica Kirk is pretty much because of her.
Mm-hmm.
And we know she worked. She was a realtor at for a Rothschild. Was the broker, one of the guys that financed Epstein, and she made the CIA training film and all these, curious things. And she didn't date for 5 years, and they have tons and tons of videos of her. Apparently she was engaged a couple times during that time, especially with the Mr. Pizza guy. What's the guy's name that has the pizza tattooed on the interior of his lip?
Cabot Phillips.
Cabot Phillips.
Yeah, very strange stuff. So that's kind of all.
How didn't Charlie Kirk know this?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, could Charlie Kirk have been a part of this? I mean, how could he have been that naive to think she was a virgin? Really? Oh, Patrice, we lost her again.
I think most people agree that he was on the spectrum. To what degree? I mean, I guess is up for debate. But one of the number one things that people that they're known for is being somewhat naive. And I mean, they kept him working 360 days a year. So, especially when it comes to the goings on with the company, all this backhanded stuff that we're finding out about now. I mean, I feel like there is an honest. I mean, there's a good chance that he didn't know about all that stuff. But when it comes to Erica, I mean, she was a rebound for him. He didn't have a whole lot of experience with it. His big, huge air quotes. One of his best friends, Tyler Boyer, said, this is a good girl. He trusted people. I mean, he trusted his, one of the worst things he ever did, I believe, is trusting that circle that was around him.
Well, and the kids.
Put everybody there.
I keep talking about these kids. As a parent, that's just not possible. Every single photograph is at the back of their heads. I mean, and there's not paparazzi photos. They're smiling and they're posing. Yep. Nobody does that. Who takes a picture of your little kid's back of their head? And the kids want to pose. They typically, I mean, it's bizarre. I mean, I don't know what it means, but Renita's, a basic niche. Thank you very much. What can be done about we deserve better PSYOPs, so you agree with that. What can be done about the constant violation of the gag order? Who put that up on screen?
I don't know.
Okay,
I think,
it went up. Okay,
I think it's in my chat. Let's see, but I didn't put it up on screen.
Hey, Don, I did that because they put.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay. Oh, thank you. Okay, I thought so. I thought you must have, because I said I didn't think anybody else could do that. That's cool. That's cool.
I'm kind of running the show backstage, Don, so I can do whatever I want.
Appreciate it, Basic. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. What's up? How's everybody doing?
How you doing, Bill?
Good. Real quick, since I'm on, just to throw my 2 cents here, we did a show about Candace Owens, me and Twisted, man, and Candace Owens is not to be trusted in any way. I mean, she even goes up there and she says, "I don't know, but I know." you know, and that's it. And then she's selling merchandise saying, I don't know, no, but I know. Like, I don't know about any of this. Like, she's basically telling you she has no freaking clue what she's talking about. She's making up everything in the world, right? I mean, it's well, not everything, but there's a lot of misinformation coming out of that camp. I think it'd be beneficial for anybody looking into this case to revisit stuff that Candace Owens has said and evidence to the contrary to what she has said. You know, a lot of her argument rests that he was never on campus. Well, you know, there's footage of him
Billy
all
Ray
over
is,
the place. It's whether
Billy
or not
Ray
you
is
want to believe
being recruited by Turning Point USA, I think, at this point.
Yes, yeah, they're paying me a lot of money. You know? And damn, there was one other thing I wanted to. Oh, and apparently Tyler hasn't entered a plea deal. I mean, a plea. He hasn't entered a plea yet, which is incredibly suspect. If you are an innocent person, if you know that you didn't do this, right? You automatic. I mean, I would say any sane person would say, no, I didn't do this.
Greg Lake is attorney. He said he has. What's your evidence?
He has
that
not.
He has,
well,
Greg?
as far as what the information that's out there. So I'm not disputing what Greg said. Hey, Greg, how you doing?
Very well. How are you?
What I see is he has not entered a plea deal. I just looked this up, and he has not entered.
Brock says that he hasn't. I did look it up. So
right.
I don't know how true that is.
Right.
You say a plea deal. But
Yeah, I'm sorry. He has not entered a plea. My apologies.
Definitely. If he enters the plea deal, then then
he has not entered a plea. He has not entered a plea. He has not said that he is innocent.
Yeah, you have a chance to tell the court whether you think you're guilty or not guilty. I mean, otherwise, why are they proceeding? Obviously, if he were to tell the court first off, well, I'm guilty, then why would they keep going?
He'd be in the electric chair by now, the way these people are walking.
I don't know.
He has not had a plea deal.
People.
Plea deal. But he's definitely entered a not guilty plea at his arraignment when he was in a turtle suit.
Well, that's not what I'm seeing here, buddy. I mean, it is what it is.
Like I said, they'd have him sentenced and in an electric chair by now.
The day after the fatal shooting of Kirk, a close ally to President Trump, credited with helping, yada yada yada. Same thing. It just says he hasn't entered a plea. I added the deal part because it just came to mind that way, but it says he hasn't entered a plea.
Yeah, I don't think we would be proceeding if he hadn't entered in a plea. I'll look it up though.
All right.
Well, we got my lovely friend Robin Lee. How you doing, Robin? What's going on?
Hi, Don. Great show. I'm really enjoying listening to all your guests. My question, well, I kind of have it twofold. Do you think, I wonder if the panel thinks that Charlie knew what was going on with his organization? Like, did he understand the depth of the corruption and, his trusted allies, his bodyguards, just going rogue on him, one. And two, the other thing I think about is, Charlie and Trump were really good friends. And at least it was portrayed by the media that they are. And I wonder if if your panel thinks that Trump knew what was going on and knew about the assassination. And I'm going to hang up and listen off air.
Nutty Yahoo knew.
Thanks.
Thanks, Robin.
Nutty Yahoo knew.
Well, he denied it. Nobody accused him of it.
Yeah, but he was the first one to let us know.
Yeah, he denied it several times. And I didn't do it, so I don't know.
I mean, it's just so it's terrible to think that, I mean, does your panel think that Charlie really built up the organization, or was he just the face of the organization?
I think he was.
Apparently somebody took him under his wing. If I'm correct, a very wealthy businessman took him under his wing about 10 years ago. And then that's kind of when they went from more a political TPUSA to more religious based.
If you look at the money starting from the beginning right up to the point where he meets
Eric Kirk, do you guys think that Trump knew, or do you have any idea or an opinion about that? About the assassination?
I can't say either way. I don't know about y'all.
Can they hear?
Yeah, no, I don't know. I guess they don't have. I mean,
What's
if he
up?
did, he would say something really ridiculous probably about it. But I don't think
He's
he's
in on the
commenting.
cover up. He's in on the
Wasn't
cover
it
up. I
his
know that.
kids
Yeah.
had more of a personal relationship with Charlie?
Okay.
Don Jr. versus
I appreciate
Don.
Yeah, well, Don Jr. was, he's there saying the evidence is overwhelming too.
I don't think that he knew ahead of time. Let me rephrase that. I have a feeling he probably has a good idea of who, how, and why this happened, though.
Well, yeah, because they're saying, "Hey, man, you need to shut your mouth about those."
The same one that went after him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Laura Trump is also on her show on Fox. I think it's Fox. She's come out recently and called everybody crazy for thinking that the official narrative isn't true.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth Minton. Thank you.
And you had Cash
Give us
Patel
space.
come right out and say it. Basically, he called everybody anarchists. If
Yeah,
I have that video pulled up, Don. If you do want to watch it at some point.
Yes, but I thought I'd teach you. Yeah, let's do it. Okay,
Sure.
let's. Here you go.
Crazy
You want it?
eyes.
Okay. Here's Cash Patel. Just like I don't know, like maybe within a month of it happening, everybody's an anarchist. Here we go.
Is again with social media, when you have hysterical conspiracy theories filling the void, you're harming Charlie and his family and a rightful prosecution of his alleged assassin, who we have in custody, and rightly so, in my opinion. And if anyone helped him, do you think that we at this FBI are literally going to let them get away with it?
Yeah.
We're not standing silent in the face of growing conspiracy theories. That's what we do to shut down a faulty prosecution. That's what we do to shut down a system of justice that wants to be exploited by these same anarchists. And that's what they're doing. They're bringing it to social media. They're bringing it online for clickbait, and we're not going to take it. As again with social.
But in the
That's it.
last
Yeah,
administration, he was like, "Don't believe anything. None of it's
Exactly.
real."
Yeah, but isn't there a conflict between the local police and the FBI in this whole thing, anyways?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I have that. I mean, that's the thing. These trolls on X, they're like, "Oh, the feds have nothing to do with it," but the feds have been, their fingers have been in this the whole time. Let me share this screen real quick, Don, just so you can see it. When they took Tyler's car, let me do a screen share.
Yeah,
it's right here. I mean, it's right on the on TV. Here it is, Don.
Okay.
Right there. FBI, they seized the Dodge Challenger.
Did they seize the one with 2 exhaust pipes or 4?
I don't know, or the spoiler, the longer chin on it than
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I love
the
that
one with
how
the
they-
bald guy driving, or Tyler.
Right. That was just Blake. Never mind him.
I would Bronx
It
Stopper.
should
had
have
asked-
been a Starsky and Hutch car.
It should have. Bronx Stopper said he had to go, but you wanted one more point, Bronx Stopper?
Yeah, so I dropped a link to a video where a couple guys reenacted like as close as they could with a 30-06 and the core lock round going through like a pig and a cow femur and a whole bunch of other stuff.
That
The
Valhalla
yardage
VFT?
and the angle.
Yeah.
What?
Where's that?
Is that
where's that
Valhalla
link?
VFT?
Yeah, the Valhalla deal. Yeah, that's like the second or third one that he's done. But the other thing I wanted to throw out real quick, like, they found that 223 round, the rooftop, supposedly the rooftop behind
But-
where Tyler fired the shot from.
A cop who was never
So-
identified in the bullet that
Correct, which is a
Yeah.
really weird way to eject around, out of police issued ammo, and you're not going to pick it back up and all this other stuff. But so if you're running a 223 round out of a 16-inch barrel, a 300-yard shot could keyhole, which could explain that entry wound and hitting the spinal cord and stuff like that.
Could.
But I've never believed the 30-06 deal, and that's like my biggest hang up until they can get some ballistic proof that I believe at all. The rest of it doesn't matter to me.
So that is
Right.
very true, but the only thing that I see that could not happen is the shirt doing all the funky movements and all of that happening before a wound appears.
Prior.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's what I've only seen, like people play the video on YouTube. Like I don't have
Yeah.
any software to be able to slow it down and watch it myself, so I don't really know all of that.
Go
I
check
mean,
out
I've
John
seen-
Bray on X. If you're on
Yeah, I know.
X,
That's
go.
what I'm definitely gonna have to get on there and check John's video out. But
Yeah.
you know, like I've seen several. You know, I've seen the kinetic energy dump that can ripple like that, but the timing would be the one thing, and I haven't been able to close enough examine that myself. So.
Yeah, for it to be a bullet, you would have to have the wound and then all that stuff happen, but it's right backwards. Correct, John? I mean, have you ever seen any of those videos that make it look like there's a wound first?
No, the shirt is the very first movement. The shirt on the opposite side of his body. You know what I mean? Like it's like that that guy posted. If they told us that a bullet hit the microphone, like I would believe everything a lot more. You know, that's the only thing that could explain all the crazy movement on the right side and have a wound on this. It's like a medium velocity kind of blunt impact wound on the left side of his neck is if something struck the microphone and caused the shrapnel, caused the movement. But outside of that, it's real hard to believe that it's a straight up 10-degree down, 30-6 impact from, a little less than 150 yards away. That's a hard call.
All right. Thank you guys. Got to jump off.
All right. See.
Okay. Thanks, Brock. Appreciate it. And I'm looking at the chat. So what are we? I mean, do they think when Billy Ray was on here, I was going to say he's going to be happy because if somehow Tyler Robinson is exonerated, it would be the first high profile, someone accused of assassination or anything like that has ever been acquitted. There's a foregone conclusion. They're always convicted. Somebody was saying if he pleads not guilty in the chat, do you think the jury would acquit him? I don't think there's any chance the jury's going to acquit him no matter what. What do you guys think?
But we got to make sure he makes it to trial.
Yeah, first that's the first thing. Yeah,
I think the evidence, like, I don't know. I think they're going to have to mess with the jury in order to not get an acquittal. I think if the defense attorneys were to show up and actually litigate the case how it should be, he should get an acquittal. But we'll see. Yeah. We'll see. I think they should be able to show those text messages aren't authentic.
I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think he's going to commit suicide or some crazy thing like that.
Well, if he does, nothing ever happens because Americans never reach a tipping point, but that'll just continue to exacerbate the divide because basically the country is divided so many ways, but they're divided on stuff like this. I mean, most people, there are more people that will be watching this discussion and think we should all be in a padded room somewhere. They think we're nuts.
Well, they can also fly a kite. Yeah.
But that's the problem is they're not open to this, and they think that saying overwhelming enough times and saying he confessed to me, even though there's apparently no evidence that he did confess, and that's and his transgender roommate testifying against him and saying he said these things, which is hearsay. I mean, that's their idea of evidence because the media is saying it and the FBI is saying it, and you guys know the history of the FBI. I mean, why would anybody trust the FBI at this point?
Yeah, but what you're saying, here we go again. No one's allowed to question anything. Yeah. We're allowed to question anything all the time, every day.
Of course.
Muppet, are you still there?
Yeah, man, I'm still here.
Can I ask you a quick question? I saw something recently because you guys just mentioned Lance Twiggs, the furry roommate. I saw somebody had posted an Instagram post and he had like 5 cell phones in front of him. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
What was the context of that? I think he had made the post like in 2022. So I mean, does that show he has skills in using several phones to?
Quite possibly. During the X Spaces that we did last night, we were narrowing down on the David Hull testimony that he gave, and we were actually watching the video again of Tyler coming across the car park through the tunnel up into the big car park, and when he stops there, it actually looks like he's on the phone, but he also has a second phone in his pocket. and then he stacks that phone on top of that one and walks off. So we do suspect that he has a burner phone on him, and he's definitely.
Sorry, wasn't there also missing footage? Didn't they like cut out like a minute of footage of him standing at the top of the stairs, so we can't see?
Yes, there's a big jump cut.
Or if somebody comes and talks to him, because when he's walking around that parking lot in the stairway, it looks like he's looking for somebody. Like he
definitely does gesture to somebody. Yeah, we pulled that up and we focused down on that, and he gestures to somebody. He looks in that direction. He gives a hand gesture, and then goes back up the stairs. But then he turns back again and he looks at them again. So we're pretty confident that he's acknowledging somebody that he either knows or has called out to him.
Right.
Probably reminded him to limp. You forgot to limp. Keep limping.
There's the CCTV footage, TV footage at the parking lot where you see. I don't know if it's Tyler Robinson, but it's a Dodge Challenger. He pulls out, and the car comes. I guess it was a Lexus that pulls right behind him, and then another car comes and circles around and gets behind them, and they all three leave at the same time together.
Yeah, there's a white SUV that seems to be tracking him around the campus and has interactions with him. So with this timeline that they've put out, where we picked a lot of holes in it, especially last night. It's where, I don't know, there's a lot of, we've got like 5 different suspects that they're claiming all to be Tyler. And they look completely different. And I'm just amazed that they didn't show one clear headshot of him on campus to prove that he's there and just to get the probable cause over the line.
And Blake said that he communicated with a member of TPUSA, but he refused to name who that member of TPUSA
That's
was.
probably who he was looking for or acknowledging at the stairwell. Just saying.
Yeah. If you would look at the way Blake explained that, he goes, I know the person that Tyler spoke to, and I know he didn't do anything wrong. I'm like, well, unless it's you, how do you know that?
I would say it was. That's just my look. That's allegedly. Totally spit.
And then I think I missed this question earlier from Renita Sophia. It says, what can be done about the constant violation of the gag order? Erica's under gag order. I'm sure others at TPUSA are as well. What can we do? Is that true? What's up with that?
As far as I'm aware, it's only the attorney that will get a reprimand, and then it's up to him to rein his client in.
You heard what the defense had to say about her, the way she was doing, throughout that hearing. Going out and basically lying about what was shown, and
she doesn't seem to be under kind of gag order, right? I mean, she's certainly not under any dabbing her eyes order. I mean, she's front and center doing that still.
I mean, pretty sure everybody that could be called for, potentially as a witness or any of that was supposed to have been under gag order. Right,
she's theoretically a party now that she's entered that appearance.
Exactly. Yeah.
Victims representative. So she's absolutely subject to it. I mean, what can be done about it? The defense has tried to do something about it, right?
Yeah, but the state's behind her.
But it just judge could sanction her, her directly.
Oh God! Imagine what they would say if they did that. I mean,
you heard what the defense said that she acts like the that the prosecution is her personal attorney.
She does.
Yeah. Exactly. That's right. They had that thing where and of course that guy was raked over the coals for, I can't believe how he treated Erica Kirk, and what he did to the widow, the perpetual widow here that nobody can criticize.
It's something else. I've never seen anything like this before. Where
Renita wants to know who is the Candace hater. That's my producer Billy Ray Valentine, who stepped in for a minute to give us an alternative view.
Well, what about the fact that they cemented up the actual crime scene?
Yeah.
I mean,
4 days after.
Yeah.
Like, and
on
no
a Sunday in Utah.
Yeah, and no one's in trouble.
That's what you call.
Yeah, we dug into that one with Daniel Merrill.
Well, I mean, according to the contractor, that came from literally the governor and the FBI. And neither one of them has come out, I don't think, refuting that, have they?
No. That's what you call spoliation of evidence. To the extent it got rid of exculpatory evidence for Tyler Robinson, it's theoretically a violation of his due process rights.
Well, yeah, because you're allowed to visit the crime scene.
Yeah, I mean, juries will go to a crime scene
jury,
sometimes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not
Especially
that
in
one.
big cases. Yeah. And
Well,
it was
look at
all.
the crime
They
scene.
actually had
all
two
in on it.
contractors on
They're all in
that.
on it.
They had a government contractor remove the grass and the soil, and 10 inches soil, which was really sketchy. And then they contacted Daniel Merrill from Hardscapes, Utah on a Sunday and told him that we have an emergency paving job to do.
I got to pay for emergency.
Yeah, which
said,
he
"What's a
thought was
paver
weird.
emergency?"
And he couldn't get his normal crew together, so he used some of his Mormon mates from his church to go and help him. And it was just
that's reminiscent of the state of New York selling off all the ground.
Yeah, the steel out of the World Trade Center.
Get rid of the evidence. Sell it. Give it to China. I think they just gave it to him. Or very like.
It was very much like that. Yeah.
I bet it was
like every other time.
And they actually worked into the night too to get that done. I've got photos of them working at night, still doing it.
Dark, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no one thinks that's odd. No, that's just normal.
Well, typically they wait a
protocol.
while. I mean, they carted away the debris at Oklahoma City, 9/11, obviously, Sandy Hook. All that was destroyed and taken away. But this was, again, right away, within days.
But right in your face. The whole thing is, this is just poking you right in the nose.
Hey Don, do you want to address Renita's? I don't know what she wanted, but she's saying that I owe her $4.99.
Yeah, I don't know what she was saying. 'Cause I guess she got discombobulated when you came in and started bad mouthing Candace Owens. I don't know. I'm not sure.
The truth hurts
I
sometimes.
appreciate it, Renita. I don't know. I didn't bad mouth her.
No, I know that was me. Don has nothing. Don loves Candace.
I love her. I do.
Completely different.
I'm
So
smitten with her.
$4.99. Put up what it is you wanted the panel to discuss, and they'll do it.
Yeah, well, what we did, we asked her because she wanted to know about the gag order, and it's if Erica Kirk is under a gag order, it doesn't seem like she's that gagged. I don't know. I mean, I could be,
She's definitely not acting like it, huh?
She doesn't seem like she's. I don't know how gagged she is, but well, we got a few minutes left, but I want to give everybody. We got quite a horn to go around here, so I want to make sure everybody gets Muppet Master again. Thanks so much for.
It's fun.
Coming here.
Thank you for the
getting
opportunity.
up so early. Well, that's fantastic. So, do you plan to do any more? Or you're active in these spaces? So you try to.
I am. I've noticed there's a big propaganda push that's happened since the end of the preliminary hearing, and all the Zionists are out pushing their agenda. So for the next 5 weeks, I'm going to be very active, just to push back against their narrative, so they just can't flood the zone with impunity.
Well, that's great. That was wonderful. What you did. And you kept. And who was chiming in with you? There was somebody else that was saying.
That was Diligent. That was Diligent Dennison. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
He does great work.
And then, we were trying to lead him up to the actual SUV pictures with the bloody brown paper bags in the back of the car with Nate Walker's name on them.
Yep, Nate Walker.
That's where I was trying to lead him on to find out exactly what store they'd gone to and when they'd gone there. And I got cut off and I didn't get to finish off the question. So I'd like a round 2 with Blake if I can manage to wrangle that.
I can't imagine he probably should really reconsider. And what Candace Owens said about him, I think, is right. He comes off as nervous, or he just, he was really outmatched there. I mean, it just sounded so stupid to say I was somewhere.
He's full of answers, but they're always the same basic.
How am I supposed to remember where it was a
I
strange
can't
place?
remember. I don't remember. How
It
should
just
I
sounded
remember?
like a little lying child. It's like,
exactly.
I mean, again, just imagine. Well, of course, I don't know how he would be cross-examined, what he's really testifying to, but he would not make a good witness. because you
I
ate
mean,
it up.
we were
You know,
in the SUV parked, and I can't remember who was driving it, but I
Yeah.
remember sitting
Can't
there.
remember who I was sitting next to. Can't remember
Yep,
where I went.
right.
Well, why did
Um,
why did you just go to the university and kill time there? I mean, where was he went somewhere that he couldn't remember in between, and
Doesn't know what town he stayed in, and then he didn't remember what hotel he stayed in. It's like I said on my stream the other night. Like, look, I've worked for companies where I had to spend a lot of time on the road, and you know what? Sometimes it was different, but they had set a few hotels that they preferred using, whether it's because the rates, because they got a deal, or what. I mean, like, I'm sure there's a handful of rooms that they usually, or a handful of hotels they
Yeah.
usually use when
And
they're
he-
staying on the road. I mean, you can't tell me. And
And
besides,
he
he had
changed
to have
that
had
story too.
if he had his
He
own
said he was
room,
in
he got an
Orem.
itinerary.
Yeah, he said he stayed in Orem that night, and then he backtracked that, and now I'm back in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, Orem just meant Utah. he thought that
Yeah.
meant.
I think the bigger question is, why did he even bother to be partake in this?
It was
why did
damage
he?
control.
Yeah.
They're out trying to do damage control, and
They need somebody
didn't
else.
pick
Yeah,
a very
well, they
good
need somebody
candidate.
else. He flunked.
Yeah, they need Andrew Cole. I'd like to see again Andrew Cole. I'd like to grill him because
Yeah.
he's big fish. Any links or anything you want to give out, Muppet? Anything to promote?
I'd like people to actually look at the X space that we did last night, breaking down the timeline of David Hull's testimony. There's some really key features in that, and we probably missed some as well. We don't expect that we're going to pick up everything. More eyes on that, I think, the better. So
That's Muppet's page in the share, Don, if you want to share it for his X page.
Oh, did you put that? Okay, let me see. Hold on a second.
Yeah, sure. If
yeah,
you-
I'm just a little account on X. We're not a huge account, but we've got massive amounts of data on this. I've got over a terabyte of data that we've collected in the last 10 months, and we're doing like 16-hour days just trying to nut this out. So we're very committed to it. We're not going anywhere. So if they're listening, just expect us. We're not going anywhere.
I'll have to follow you. Follow Muppet Masher on X. Doing good work. I appreciate you being here, brother.
No, I appreciate the opportunity, Don. Thank you.
Okay, and let's see. We got Adam, the real one. Anything to any final words? Anything you need to promote?
Well, my YouTube channel is it's the real one. It's the real one podcast _AT. And then my X is AdamTF_82.
Yeah, did you, anything else you wanted to say? Did you get everything in that you wanted to say?
If I start again, I probably won't stop. It was fun. I appreciate it. We'll have to do it
Okay,
again
looks
sometime.
like Steve's sharing your thing again. There, okay, there you go.
Oh yeah, there we
There's
go.
the real one podcast. Okay, cool.
Best looking logo on YouTube.
There you go. Cool. Okay, so follow him there, and John Bray again. Thanks so much for being here. Anything? Any last words, and then anything you want to promote?
If you got any interest in my work, follow the epicenter.com. It's basically my depository for all my files, my source, my code. It's an open source kind of a resource for anybody that has interest in the event. My socials, John Aaron Bray on X, John Aaron Bray on Instagram. I post a lot on X. It's kind of front runs my information. Once my more analytical, polished stuff ends up on Follow the Epicenter. So if you want a quick rundown, X is the place to see the most recent work that I've done.
I put up his page if you want to show.
Okay. I'm waiting for it. Okay, there you go.
And there's a lot of it. He has done a ton.
Yes.
There you go, John. Yeah, fantastic. Well, Candace Owens mentioned your name. That's something. So keep up the good work. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. Well, thanks for being here. Greg Lake.
Yeah.
Anything? Any last words? Anything you want to promote?
Yeah. Thank y'all. Keep your eyes open on this. Thank y'all for coming. It's the Entheogenic Esquire YouTube channel. Feel free to go subscribe. We'd love to have you over there. A lot of the people you see here, particularly Adam, are on my channel quite frequently. And yeah, just search for the truth. Thank y'all for having me today.
Okay.
And I'm about to jump. I got some puppies to take care of.
Okay, Greg. Thanks again, brother. Appreciate you being here.
Yeah, man.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank y'all. God bless. Have a great weekend. And I'm sure we'll circle back around soon.
You too.
Thanks, Greg.
I'll holler at you, Greg.
All right, brother. Good luck, y'all. See y'all.
Okay, and Steve Cameron is the guy who really helped put this all together and got most of the people here. So, Steve, I really appreciate you doing that. You're doing great work yourself. Any final words and anything you want to promote?
Yeah, thanks, Don. If you, I shared my X page. It's in the share right now. If anyone wants to follow me, I'm at Steve Cameron PR1, and I'm also on YouTube at Steve Cameron Productions. If anybody would like to help and support my work, there's a book that the great Don Jeffries, he actually wrote the foreword to. It's called The Patient is Dying, and that is available on Amazon. Don wrote the foreword for that. I also have another book that I think a lot of people would like called, let me just take this share off real quick, Don. Let's take 1 second.
Okay, take the share. Okay.
It's The Deputy Interviews, the true story of Roger Dean Craig. He was one of the witnesses that saw that Mauser on the 6th floor of the school book depository. The Deputy Interviews is available on Amazon. I'm also working on an Oswald book called Frame Up, and I'm hoping to have that done by the end of summer. It's been taking me forever, but I hope to have that done completed
Busy
by the
man.
end of August.
You're a busy man. Thank you, Debbie Smith. Thanks, Angel Blue, for the sweet words. Anyhow, thanks, everybody. It's been a great show. I appreciate everybody's knowledge and expertise, and let's hope that we'll try to do another 1 or 2 of these before the trial comes up, and let's hope justice be done, though the heavens may fall. Isn't that what JFK starts out with, a line from Shakespeare that Garrison said? So maybe we can finally get some justice. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for the tips.
Yes.
Thanks, everybody in the chat. Appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Talk to y'all next week. Same
you,
time.
Chad.
Take care. Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.
See you
Thank
next
y'all.
week on iPro.